Writing a book is a terrible idea. At least, that's what your brain starts screaming at you about 3 days after the initial glorious flash of inspiration wears off. Right? 1 minute, you're a genius. You have the idea, the one that's going to change everything. You can see the cover. You can imagine the 5-star reviews. You can feel the heft of the finished book in your hands. And the next minute, you're staring at a blinking cursor on a white screen that feels impossibly big. The sheer scale of it, 50, 60, 80,000 words, feels less like a mountain to climb and more like a planet you have to build from scratch with a teaspoon. The dream of being an author is amazing. The reality of writing, for most people, is an absolute grind. It's a battle fought alone, against an enemy you know intimately, your own self-doubt. Let me paint a picture for you. See if this sounds familiar. It's 8 a.m. You've got your coffee. You're motivated. Today is the day you're going to crank out a chapter. You sit down, open the document, and nothing. Your brain, which was buzzing with ideas in the shower, is suddenly a ghost town. The inner monologue starts. Is this character's motivation believable? Wait, did I already establish that plot point in chapter 2? This sentence sounds clunky. Ugh, I'm a terrible writer. Maybe I should just check my email first. Oh, a new cat video. Well, just one. 3 hours later, you've written 150 words, and you hate every single one of them. You highlight the whole paragraph, and your finger hovers over the delete key. That feeling of deflation, it's one of the worst feelings in the world. It's the slow, painful death of a dream. But what if I told you that entire agonizing process is becoming obsolete? What if that day in the life of a struggling author is the old way? Today, I want to walk you through a new day in the life. The day of an author who has a secret weapon, a creative co-pilot that turns that lonely, frustrating battle into an exciting collaboration. Let's imagine that same author, the same 8 a.m., the same cup of coffee. But this time, they're not opening a blank page. They start with an idea. Let's say it's a vague one. A non-fiction book about the history of coffee. But making it fun and accessible. Instead of trying to pull a full outline out of thin air, they drop that simple idea into a new kind of tool. And they ask it a few questions. What are 10 killer, curiosity-driven chapter titles for a fun history of coffee? A few seconds later, a list appears. Chapter 1, The Devil's Drink, How Coffee Conquered Europe. Chapter 5, From Bean to Barista, The Science of a Perfect Cup. Chapter 9, The Billion-Dollar Buzz, Coffee's Modern Empire. Suddenly, the fog starts to clear. This feels doable. Then, they pick a chapter. Let's go with Chapter 1. They ask the tool, create a detailed 3-act structure outline for the chapter, The Devil's Drink. And in less time than it takes to brew that cup of coffee, they have a blueprint. Introduction. The initial suspicion and fear of coffee in 17th century Europe. Introduce the key players. Rising action. The story of how coffee houses became centers of intellectual and political debate, threatening the established order. Climax and resolution. The moment the Pope himself was asked to ban it, but instead, he tasted it, blessed it, and legitimized it for the Christian world. Do you feel the difference? The author hasn't even written a full sentence yet, but the overwhelm is gone. The anxiety has been replaced by clarity. The impossible planet is now a clear, manageable blueprint for a skyscraper. They know exactly what they need to build, brick by brick. Now comes the part that used to be the hardest, writing the actual prose. But again, the process has changed. The author takes that first outline point, the initial suspicion and fear of coffee in 17th century Europe. They add a little of their own flavor. Write this section in an engaging, slightly dramatic tone. Focus on the sensory details, the dark, bitter liquid, the smoky cafes. Mention the rumors that it was a hellish brew from the Ottoman Empire. They press a button, and they watch as a solid, well-structured first draft of that section appears on the screen. It's not a finished masterpiece. It's a solid block of clay, a rich, detailed starting point. And this is where the real magic happens. The author's job has transformed. They are no longer a laborer trying to make bricks from dust. They are now the artist, the sculptor, the director. Their creative energy isn't spent wrestling with a blank page. It's spent on the fun part. They read through the generated text and start to refine it. I can make this sentence more powerful. They punch up the language. This description is good, but I can add a specific historical detail I know to make it even better. They weave in their unique expertise. The AI's transition here is okay, but I have a better idea. They rewrite a paragraph, infusing it with their personal style and voice. Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking, because I've heard it 1,000 times. There's a voice in the back of your head saying, "But isn't that cheating? If an AI writes the first draft, is it even your book anymore?" It's going to sound generic and soulless. Let's just take a second and bust that myth, because it's the single biggest thing holding talented people back. The idea that using AI will steal your voice is fundamentally a misunderstanding of what it does. Think of it this way. Is a film director cheating because they don't personally operate the camera, set up the lights, and record the sound? Of course not. They have a team of experts and a suite of tools that handle the technical execution so they can focus on the vision, the story, the emotion, the performance. AI is your camera operator. It's your lighting technician. You are still the director. You provide the vision. You set the tone. You guide the performance. You make the final creative decisions. The AI is a powerful collaborator that handles the grunt work of getting words on the page, so you can pour your soul into making those words sing. It frees you up to be more creative, not less. And as for the second myth, that it just writes generic garbage, well, that's only true if you give it generic instructions. Write a story will get you a boring generic story. But when you learn how to talk to it, when you become a skilled creative director, you get magic. When you say, write a scene where my protagonist, a weary ex-detective haunted by her last case, walks into a dusty old bookstore and the smell of old paper triggers a specific, painful memory, you're not getting generic garbage. You're getting a customized, targeted scene built on your unique idea that you can then polish into a diamond. The AI doesn't replace your creativity, it amplifies it. So, let's go back to our author's day in the life. It's now late afternoon. The sun is starting to dip. In the old way, this author would be drained, maybe with a few hundred words to show for it, and a sinking feeling of being behind schedule. But this new author, they look up from their screen and they have an entire polished 5,000-word chapter. A chapter they are proud of. A chapter that is undeniably theirs, infused with their voice, their ideas, and their unique style. The feeling isn't frustration, it's exhilaration, it's momentum. They are not just on schedule, they are flying. The dream of holding that finished book feels not just possible, but inevitable. They've collapsed a process that takes weeks of painful effort for most people into a single, focused, and genuinely fun day. This isn't science fiction. This is what's happening right now for a new wave of authors and creators. The difference between the person who dreams of writing a book for 10 years and the person who actually publishes 3 books in 1 year isn't necessarily talent, or discipline, or luck. It's their toolkit, and it's their community. The biggest challenge isn't the technology itself, it's knowing how to use it. It's learning the workflows, the prompts, the mindset shift from writer to creative director. And honestly, it's knowing you're not alone in this new frontier. It's about having a place to ask questions, share wins, and see what's working for other people right now. And that's the entire reason I'm making this video. If you want to see how I'm actually using AI to write full books and connect with other authors doing the same thing, check out my school group. It's free to join. You'll also get access to the tool I personally use, Instant Author. Links are in the description. See you inside.